Welcome to A Wealth of Useless Knowledge, where we dive into some fun and entertaining topics. You're sure to learn something new here, and maybe even have a laugh or two. Now let's get into today's video. We live in a modern age where we have the convenience of our phones right in the palm of our hands, and everything we want, from a camera to a TV to a mini computer, is all in one small device. But in a not so distant past, we used to need 10 or more different items that can do all the things that just one small device can today. In this video, we'll be taking a look back at the olden days before the smartphone. So grab a snack and let's take a trip down memory lane. First on the list is paper maps. Long before Google Maps, we had MapQuest, where you could print out your directions and refer to the list of turns as you drove. But long before that, we had just an old, simple paper map. It was a necessary item in the glove compartment of your car, and you never went anywhere without it. They were large and bulky, and once you opened it, it took some trial and error to get it folded back up. Good luck with that one. You needed to know which way was north, or have a compass handy, and you would get lost several times, waste gas until you gathered the courage to stop and ask for directions. Nowadays though, Siri and Google Maps pretty much got you covered, so you can save your gas, because gas is too expensive and ain't nobody got time for that. Next is the communication devices like landlines and payphones. Before we lived in a world where you could go for a walk while having a conversation with a friend, if you wanted to have a talk, you had to stay put. Whether that meant putting a quarter in one of the many grimy payphones around town, or talking at home on your landline. With landline phones, not only were you confined to only being able to talk within the home, you were also confined by the distance that little curly phone cord could travel. If you did want to communicate on the go though, you needed to have a pager or beeper. This was the closest thing you could get to texting back in the day, and the character count was even shorter than the early days of Twitter, forcing you to come up with acronyms and code words so you could get your message out as quickly as possible. All the 90s babies truly knew that struggle. It's funny because listening to 90s music today really shows how times have changed. Do you guys remember how many of the songs back in the day mentioned pagers? Calling me, stressing me, paging my beeper, you're just nonstop. When I got your message in my beeper. Or the R&B videos that start out with people talking on the payphone.
It's me, it's really me, basically.
Those were the days. Phone books and address books were another thing you needed if you wanted a number to a local business or a friend. Whether it was the large annual drop-off of those ginormous yellow and white pages books at your front doorstep, or just your personal phone and address book that you would go to when you can't remember your friend or family member's number, or when it's time to mail out those annual holiday cards. These little books were a must-have. Fax machines were another one of those things that people used before smartphones. Before you had e-sign and could fill out forms and shoot them through the ether in a matter of seconds, you had to fax a document, then wait for a signature to be faxed back, and so on and so forth. Fax machines were expensive, and not many people had them, so you had to travel to an office supply store or post office like Kinko's, now known as FedEx, just to use one. It's definitely not the easiest alternative considering all the ways we can send documents back and forth these days, but fax machines are still used by many businesses, so if you want to experience some nostalgia, you can still take a crack at using one. Radios and MP3 players kept us entertained while on the go. Before we had smartphones and the wealth of music streaming platforms we have today, we had a handheld Philips or Craig AM/FM radio, an MP3 player, a Walkman, portable CD player, or an iPod. By the way, I made a video on the evolution of the iPod, so if you haven't seen it yet, head over to check it out right after this. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment and in the iCards. These portable devices were ones you couldn't leave home without, or else you'd be bored on your commute to work or school. Alas, with the smartphone, there's no longer a true need for devices like this, but the nostalgia of an era where you spent time untangling your earbuds just to enjoy some music will always have a place in our hearts. Next on the list is cameras. All cameras, from disposable single-use cameras to the original Polaroids to camcorders. We can now take photos, vlog, and share pictures without the need to go to the 1-hour photo at your local CVS and patiently wait just to be disappointed as half the photos were either fuzzy, had poor lighting, or that pain-in-the-butt red eye that had you looking like you were a movie villain about to dart laser beams from your eyes. If you know, you know. With every latest smartphone release adding yet another lens and fine-tuning everything for you, even down to the front-facing camera so you can assure everyone made it into the frame, let's just say smartphones have enabled us to get the perfect shot every time without the need to waste film. Photo albums are another one that smartphones have taken over. 90s kids used to have a binder full of photos and sheet protectors or those little baseball card holder pouches. Comment down below if you remember these.
This right here?
But with modern technology, we can now house hundreds of thousands of photos of all of our most precious moments, from concerts we've attended to 1,000,001 pictures of the sun setting and pictures of our food. We can even make digital photo albums and stories that can be shared with friends and family without ever needing them to be printed. Next on the list is print media like newspapers and magazines. Want to check out the weather? Get on your phone. Want to know what's going on with your favorite celebrity? Get on your phone. Want to find the world's best chocolate chip cookie recipe? Guess where you can find that? On your phone. The convenience and ease of use of our smartphones have taken away the need for us to wait for the Sunday paper to be delivered. With the fast pace of the world right now, before a story is set to print or after it's been printed in the news, chances are it's already evolved and what was just printed no longer applies.
Stop the presses! Okay, start the presses!
That takes 4 hours.
Whatever, I'll be at most.
You could wait for the next tabloid magazine to come out and go buy it at the store. Or you could just check out all your favorite bloggers that keep their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in pop culture.
How you doing?
Last on the list are the informative books like encyclopedias, dictionaries, and thesauruses. Do you remember the time when you had to learn the Dewey Decimal System?
Who?
Just so you could wander the aisles of your local library to find info for your research paper? Remember the thrill of smelling the dusty pages of that collection of encyclopedia sets? Well, now we have access to digital encyclopedias like Encyclopedia Britannica, even down to Wikipedia, right from our phones, and that's nothing to sneeze at. Do you remember the time when there was no doubt in your mind that a thesaurus was a tool used to grow your vocabulary and not a dinosaur? Those were the days. We can now Google these things or find definitions on a wide array of online dictionaries, from Webster even down to Urban Dictionary for more ambiguous everyday slang terms. Smartphones have in fact made the old-fashioned ways of doing things a lot more efficient, thus improving our lives in a multitude of ways. But we can still remember a time before they existed, and it's interesting just to see how quickly technology has continued to evolve. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you remember payphones, Kinkos, and 1-hour photo stores? And what was your favorite item to use before we had smartphones? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video and want to take more trips down memory lane, check out my nostalgia playlist. I've got it linked for you in the pinned comment and in the iCards. If you found this video educational or entertaining, it would be
Delightful. Really delightful.
if you would like, share, and hit that subscribe button for more content. As always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep learning.